I always like to open up each episode of Stop Watering Dead Flowers by sharing one of my own brainworms, a term someone's given me this week, to describe these horrible memories or moments in your life that you wish you could forget, but they just somehow keep coming back and burrowing in. And I've stockpiled them over years and years of my life, so I feel like I've got many to choose from. However, something that actually just happened last weekend, and it's now jumped to the top of the pile. So this is what I'm going to open with here today. I need to talk about it. I was emceeing at the Stand Comedy Club, shout out Stand Comedy Club, association with this podcast, in Edinburgh. And near the end of the night, it had been such a fun night, such a lovely audience. I couldn't help but notice that there was a girl crying in the audience. Okay, I've seen a girl. She was a woman crying in the audience. I didn't know what it was about. Nothing was overly obviously happening, but of course I just said, is everything okay over there? The headliner was about to come on, so I just wanted to make sure that everything was cool in the audience. And she quickly kind of shrugged off, says, no, I'm fine, I'll be okay. And because she said she was okay, I was just trying to be quite nice and make wee jokes and say, sure, do you want a drink? We could get you another drink. And she went, oh, no, like definitely not another drink. And we all kind of laughed and just thought maybe she's just a bit drunk and emotional. And then because I felt like it was just quite jolly, I said to her, oh, it's not him, is it? Like gesturing to the guy next to her as if implying, oh, is he being a bit of a bastard? Like, look, let's all laugh at this mean guy. And she said, well, yeah, it is actually. It is him. And everyone kind of went, oh, like now assuming the worst of this man. So I quickly said, thinking I was saving the situation, oh, no, he might not be a bad guy. Like maybe he's dying and she's crying because she's sad. He was dying. And she was crying because she was sad.
Fucking hell.
I honestly couldn't believe it. The whole room was stunned. She just went, yeah, no, he is dying. End-stage prostate cancer. He's going to die. And I was just crying because I know he doesn't have long, but he wouldn't have even been here tonight if he hadn't gone to get his foot checked. And then the worst thing is I had to do the prize draw. I had to quickly address the fact that this woman's father was dying and then say, we got to pick a prize draw winner for 2 free tickets to come back. And here's your headline act. And I got to tell you, I'll never forget that I said that. Anyway, that's what this podcast's all about. Welcome to another episode of Stop Watering Dead Flowers.
Stop watering dead flowers.
Thank you for being here, Stephen Buchanan, because as I've just shared that story, really for the first time probably with someone else, I can't think of someone kinder, I hope, to emphasise, have a bit of empathy with that situation. I know we've all had some mad experiences at gigs, but I mean, where does that rank for you, even hearing about that?
That's incredible. And I don't mean to, I was laughing throughout that, and not because of the dead dad.
Impending dead dad.
Yeah, but just because I could kind of see where it was going with you trying to salvage the situation.
Everything I said was just kept becoming. And you know what? If on the off chance that either of them ever listened to this, they were lovely. I spoke to them after the show because, of course, I felt awful. And they loved it. They'd loved the night. And she really was she was drunk and emotional because they were having a nice night. She was there with her dad. But he just sadly doesn't have long left. So
oh, no.
That is.
Did they look old?
Do you know what's... Well, this is what's worse, actually. The headliner wasn't listening in. Note to all acts, listen in to what's happening. He wasn't listening, so when he went on, he eventually had a routine where he was looking for someone older in the audience, and he said, it was Brendan Rees, might as well just name and shame him.
Yep.
Brendan said, anyone in here over 60? And there was just really one guy, and it was the guy I'd just spoken to.
Yeah.
And he went, oh, you don't look that old. How old are you? And he said, 61. And because he was only 61, the rest of the room kind of went, knowing that it was a young age. But Brennan went, it's not that old. It's not like he's dying.
Oh, no.
And the kind of whole thing started.
Jesus Christ.
And he started digging a hole as well. So.
And how was the guy throughout this? Was he laughing?
Do you know what? He was fine. He was kind of jolly, and it was really just, she was just so full of emotion for the whole thing and kept having to explain it. But he was. I mean, to be honest, he was great. He was really, really good. So he'd because of the treatment he'd had to go through as well. Actually, he said he'd actually lost all his testosterone. So he said he's actually a much nicer guy.
Oh,
so
right, well.
he was like, I'm really tolerant.
So it's quite a happy ending.
Yeah. She was like, he's been a really nice dad the last few months because he's got no testosterone.
Wow.
So there you have it. That's one example of the kind of things we'll be looking at today, hopefully. Just
course.
things that you will very much have trouble forgetting.
Yes.
Although you wish you could. And before we delve into your first one,
Sure.
I'd like to check with the guests. How are you with that in general? Are you someone that kind of lets things fester and like, has a bit of control, or are you quite good at being able to move on?
Depends what it is. Sometimes I'll lie awake at night thinking of things. Even minor things, I'll just be like, oh, I wish I never said that, or wish that happened differently. And then sometimes, depends what mood I'm in, sometimes I'm like, oh, come on. That's what makes life worth living, you know, you do something daft and then something comes along, and then other times I'm like, I am the worst human being alive.
Good. It's good that I feel like these are the things we're going to hear about then.
Yeah.
The things that justify the thought that you're the worst human alive.
There's hopefully I'm not I'm probably the baddie in one of the stories,
Right.
but there's one story that I just felt pathetic after. I've never told anyone it, so this is an exclusive.
This is so good. I was just saying to Stephen before we started this, it was like, you really get to know people doing this podcast. A lot of the time people are just like, what gigs you got coming up?
Yeah.
What was your best gig? No, I want you
want
to
the good
bare
shit.
your soul. So I don't know if it's the first one up, but let's try and go in the same order we usually go, and we'll start in childhood. You know, childhood's such an important time. And you could have a story that's caused a lot of childhood trauma, or maybe set you up for a life full of comedy.
Maybe this is the one that I'm the baddie in.
Oh wow,
But
childhood villain.
Yeah, but I think because you're a child, I can be forgiven. Hopefully,
We shall decide.
well, you can be the judge. Did I just dive in?
Let's hear it.
I was maybe about, let's say 10 years old.
Nice.
I could have been a bit older, maybe 12 at the most, but 10, we'll say 10 just to give me that extra bit of...
The innocence of youth. You're already trying to be like getting away with whatever's happening.
Me and my friend were out having a wee laugh, chucking stones at each other, as you do, as young boys do. And I accidentally over-chucked one, smashed the car window, and it was, his neighbour, who was it turned out she was like a single mother, she was a nurse, and she apparently, I don't know how true this is, but he tells me that because we never came clean, we ran away immediately because we were wee guys, and she thought that it was people, it was drug abusers had found where she lived.
Oh no.
Broke into her car and were trying to find methadone, so she moved quite soon after that.
Oh my. Yeah.
And I never came clean.
There's no innocence of youth here. This is an abject, just travesty of not coming clean and owning up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you think? Did you and your pal know like early on that you were like, we're not telling anyone, or was there any a moment of wavering, like we should say something?
We ran immediately. That was the first response. So it was fight or flight. We flew like the wind, and then we were trying to come up with cover stories in case the police found out. So I went home and changed my jumper. That was the first protocol, and then we were like, okay. We weren't there, we were in the field or whatever, we weren't anywhere near the car, trying to come up with a backstory. And then we were guilty. During the night, I was like, oh, I've got to come clean, someone's going to find out about this. And then, you're just a shite bag when you're a wee guy, so I was just like, you know what, we're not telling anyone this.
Did you hear about, did you hear other people going, oh, did you hear about that car?
I
that got
didn't
smashed?
myself, but through the grapevine, because his mum was friends with our
Yeah.
next door neighbours, so she was like, oh, someone's smashing car windows. My mate, he didn't thankfully tell his mum that it was me, and then he said that his mum and the woman was talking, and then that's how we found out that she was a nurse. And and then she moved, I think. Maybe it was already in the pipeline, but it felt like she moved like about a couple of weeks or a month after
Well,
that.
yeah, when you're scared for your life, you're going to
You're
run.
gonna flee.
Not knowing it was a 10-year-old with a... Well, I was going to say with a rock. Can we also just go back here because you're like, me and my pal were just chucking stones.
Yeah.
I overchucked one and it smashed a window.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of stones were you chucking here? It sounds like a brick.
No, it wasn't a brick.
It sounds like you intentionally bricked someone's window.
No, I would never do that. I wouldn't admit to that if that's what it was. It was, we were just picking up little pebbles. So it was
Right.
it was like a sort of not industrial estate looking area, but it was like there was a garage and a big warehouse thing, and it's there's wee stones everywhere. It's
Yeah.
quite a messy place, and we were just chucking stones at each other, and I just overchucked it, went over his head, smashed the window.
Smashed it.
And I didn't, and it was quite a small one, so I was like, that.
Single glazing.
I think her windows were shite, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think.
Maybe that's why she was leaving.
Yeah.
She just it's too drafty.
I think it's on her, if anything.
Did you ever, I mean, I'm doubting this now, obviously you've moved away when you were quite young, but did either you or your family or your pal's mum ever keep in touch? Like, do you know who she was? Like, now distantly, would you be like, she's still out there, like, you
No.
could get in touch?
I don't even know what she looked like because I only saw the car. But I think my mate would know who it is, and
Really?
I don't know if they keep in touch, but I could ask him.
Oh, I'd love her to find out.
I could phone him right now and ask. I think he's working, but
That's incredible. How often do you think that one just replays in your mind? Do you think that taught you quite a lot as well? When you think about it, you think, after that, I was like a better person.
Certainly it was 100% an accident, so it wasn't like I wasn't like, oh, I've done this bad thing and now I'm going to be a better person. It was an accident, but I was always wary of the police after that. I always thought the police could be out to get me at any moment, ready to chap my door.
You're going to change your jumper after this podcast again. Like, that's there's a part of me that I empathise. I feel sorry for you, like as a wee guy, thinking because it is terrifying to think you've done something that feels quite serious.
Yeah, because that is a crime. I wouldn't have got arrested. But I think the worst that would happen, because it came full circle. I got my window panned in 2 years ago by a wee boy chucking stones, it turns out. But at the time, I was livid, and I was like, oh, someone's done this. And then we had an eyewitness going, I seen wee boys chucking stones. He was wearing a Manchester City top. I think there's a wee guy that lives there. I chapped the door, seen a wee boy in a Manchester City top, so I was like, yeah, it was a wee guy in a Manchester City top looking at him. The dad's like, right, hold on, buddy, I'll talk to him and then we can get back to you. And it turns out it wasn't even him, it was his wee brother. So, because he was going like, no, I didn't do anything, and I was like, yeah, sure. And then it turns out it was his wee brother. And he came, his mum brought him to my door, and then she just offered to pay for the window. So I think that's what would have happened if I got caught. My mum would have just paid for it.
Do you know that it brings up memories of that's such a childhood thing. If like your parent or someone else's parents brings the offending member of their family to a house, that's I actually, this isn't even a story of mine, but it even makes me feel like horrible, anxious thinking about this. A pal of ours at school, Johnny, had just a big house party when he had an empty one time, and our pal Neil had thrown up on his bed, his bed covers. It's a party, and sometimes people throw up. But the next day, Johnny's mum drove him with the bed sheets round to Neil's house.
Oh no!
And his parents, it was like, this was Neil's vomit, your child's vomit. You have to clean this. I've been mortified to just thinking of that for a wee guy.
Take the L, as the kids would say.
Take the L.
I think just wash the sheets yourself. If you have to, pay for a window, I think that's fair enough. But I would wash bed sheets myself. I don't think I would take them to someone else's house.
Yeah. Wow. I know we've strayed off there, but listen, your mate that you were with there as well, that was your kind of partner in crime, even though you chucked it, he wasn't an accessory, he was there, he was an eyewitness.
Yep.
That's a good friend to have because he didn't turn you in.
Yeah.
Did he also stay in the straight and narrow? Did that incident lead him down a path of just crime, just tanned windows galore? Like, that looks amazing. I want to go.
I want in on that action. I think he's pretty good overall, I would say. I don't think he's ever smashed any windows himself. But it was good because at that age, I think if I was in his position, I would have crumbled.
Yeah.
Under questioning straight away, I would have said it was Gary.
Yeah.
Arrest him. He's changed his jumper.
Well, I tell you what, I hope you feel unburdened for telling that. The truth is outed here.
I'm sorry if you're listening, nurse.
Yeah. You're okay. I hope you've got better window quality.
Yeah,
wherever
exactly.
you moved.
Double glazing.
But I think as well, it's highly forgivable given the age. You're right.
Thank you.
That plays in your favour, and you regretted it as well.
Yeah.
As you say, some wee guys would have been like, "That was brilliant. What a rush."
I'm gonna keep doing that.
However, I feel like as we move into maybe your next stories, once you get older, you're going to shed this, youthful innocence. There's no excuses for what's to come next.
Yep.
So let's move into. I don't know why, but we've chosen just career as a broad, general topic for your next one because I just think in the workplace, wherever that is for people, the ramifications of something that you've done or said can often be much harder to bear.
Like
So-
you the other week.
Exactly. So let's never mention that again. But let's hear how you failed. What have you done wrong? But yeah, something from your career. What would comes to mind?
I've had plenty of gig stories that I could bring up, but I feel like maybe people would want to hear that, but I think everyone would do that. So I'm going to go for a story from when I worked in the co-op.
Nice.
My career before stand-up.
Do you know that's something we've got in common? Because I
Co-op?
worked in a co-op. The supermarket I worked in actually went through. It was a wee village, and so it was the only one in the village. So it got taken over about 4 or 5 different times, and I think I was there through 3 different iterations.
Right.
So it was like a takeover on a football team, like getting a new jersey each time. I think it was a Safeway one first,
Oh,
then I had a Morrison's fleece, and then Co-op was the last one.
right. Because I know Morrison's took over Safeway, but I didn't think co-ops were trying to take over Morrison's.
Yeah, they swept in with
Did they?
Morrison's, so it was big time. My brother was actually, this has got nothing to do with anything now, but he was the first of the family to make it. He was there before it was Safeway. It was Presto,
Right.
for anyone interested.
I don't even think I've heard of Presto.
Well,
Was that an independent place?
You
Or?
never lived. I believe so. There was a few Prestos dotted about Scotland, but yeah, I think they all became Safeways. And I'm starting to think there's a new podcast in this. But no, your own time in co-op then.
Yes.
What's happened?
And actually, just to touch on that, it was a co-op and then it turned into the Key Store. So,
Key
so
Store.
there you go.
Nice.
Co-op, probably, I wouldn't say I'm a villain in this story. I'm going to preface every story by saying if I'm a villain or not. I wouldn't say I was the villain, but I was definitely a shite bag,
Right.
if you will. Basically, a guy had been stealing loads of stuff, blocks of cheese, I think it was,
Cheese.
which apparently you can sell in the pub,
Yep.
and Airwicks, air fresheners,
Really?
loads of them.
To disguise the cheese smell.
Maybe.
That guy stinks. He's like, I need to steal something else.
So he had a rucksack full of cheese and Airwicks, and my manager had been watching him on the monitor, the security cameras, so she knew exactly, and he was heading out the door, so she stood in front of the door to stop him, confront him.
Oh man.
And this guy looked quite rough, and he was trying to pull the door, and she was standing in front of it, and I heard some commotion. I was facing up the crisps, and I'd poked my head round, noticed that she was having a bit of trouble, and I pretended that I didn't see it.
Oh.
So I just,
Oh no. The shame. You could have been Honners and you're like, no.
yeah,
no.
I was like, I'll just continue to face up the crisps. And I thought, and then she ended up grabbing the bag off the guy. The guy ran away, so he didn't get any stuff. And she was like, oh, did you see that? And I was like, what happened? And, I was playing dumb. And then on the security camera after, she's watching it back, and you can see me peeking round the corner. and then going back to pretending to face up the crisps. Oh man. In my defence, they tell you not to confront shoplifters. They do. In the training, they say, let them take it. I'm getting paid minimum wage. It's not my job to take down a shoplifter.
A cheese thief. It's the images, because you can picture supermarkets so well. Just a wee glance round. Oh no, I don't want anything to do with that. Do you know what? Well, I mean, God, I actually think I'm partly laughing as well, because bizarrely, again, I probably never would have spoke about this because I felt also just like, what a loser. But I was in the park with my kid Lily, and she's really just got the hang of the balance bike recently, and there's like a wee small kid ramp area in the park where they can go down it, but some slightly older boys, it's not even grown adults, but like some wee mad guys with electronic bikes.
Yeah.
They were starting to cut about on the kids' playground, like going up the bike ramp bit. And you could see there was a few people looking about with that their kids were playing. They're like, oh, these guys are a bit much for the kid area here with their big electric bikes. And but no one was doing anything. Lily hadn't gone over to start playing on it yet, so I was just like watching it unfold. But then another dad that looked, well, most dads look tougher than me, but this dad looked like he could confront these guys, no bother.
Yeah.
And he went down and was like, look, guys, just maybe not on the kids' ramps. Can you move? I've got kids playing here, they're young. But straight away they were just like, no, mate. We can do what we want. Like, you can't tell us not to be here. We're just on our bikes. He was like, I know, but look, there's young kids. You're going to hit someone. No, we won't. We'll just go around them. And like straight away, just proper gallus wee guys that were like, you can't tell me what to do. And I was like, oh, the dad was really trying to like get through to them, and voices were starting to get raised. And I was sitting there going, oh no, like I was about 50 metres away, but thinking, I can see him kind of glancing over, like, is there any other dads going to come up? And then one other dad started to get up, and he walked down the hill and just stood beside him. So I thought, oh no, like there's a show of unity. And I'm taking so long putting Lily's helmet on, like as if I was really struggling to tighten it. But then, and this was the thing that made me feel really bad, but there was a bit of a plot twist. A mum that was on the other far side of the bike ramp, she started walking up as well, and I thought, oh my God,
Yeah.
now the mum's getting involved before I've not even stood up, and a mum's going to come over and really tell these wee guys what for. But I got to tell you something, this is my one saving grace. I'm so pleased I hadn't got up, because she came marching over, turned to the dads and went, why are you talking to these guys like that? They're young kids as well. They should deserve to be here. You shouldn't be intimidating these kids. And she started going through the dads, and I was like, oh, I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased I didn't get up.
You're like, yeah, I was thinking that as well.
I started to try and like nod in the distance along with the mum, and
It's shameful.
but so I was laughing listening to you there, because to be honest, I'm terrible with confrontation, especially physical violence.
Yeah. I've never really been in a real fight. I think it does run in the family, because that story reminds me of one with my uncle, who I remember I was maybe again a young guy out in the street playing, and there was talk of a pedo being on the street.
Of course, always.
Yeah,
It's always one.
a man from like the block of flats at the other end of the street taking pictures of us playing. So we grassed on him, and all the dads fucking went to the flat and was raging. And then my uncle was just sat with all the mums at the back, like, just going, oh, that's terrible. And his dressing gown. Just, I'll let them deal with it.
I'm surprised you weren't there with a stone tanning the pedo's window in. Yeah, no, it's funny. I mean, we're askewing a little bit, but you're reminding me of loads of things now. The embarrassment of not being like a good fighter or like aggro when you're a wee guy.
Yeah.
It's actually quite shameful. And I think because my brother was like, he was a tougher guy. So
Was he?
that was quite good to have. In a way, it was quite good that people would be like, oh, are you Kenny Forbes' wee brother?
Right, was it one
That's
of those
his name.
ones?
It's out there now. But I remember being pulled over in a police car once to get breathalyzed, and the police officer went, he saw my licence, and he went, are you Kenny Forbes' wee brother? And I was like, yeah. And he went, well, look, just watch how you're driving. And I was
Really?
like, oh, cool.
Wow.
Kenny's kind of mad life when he was younger. Very well respected now. He's a responsible father. But there was a time where we went to a birthday party. This is a prime example of how we were polar opposites. And our younger sister had come to one of my mates. I think it was like his 18th. And my brother was there as well. So it's one of the first time my little sister had been kind of in and around my mates and kind of slightly older guys. So we were both just like, I can't believe my sister's here. And then like an older guy was like chatting her up and all that. And so like my mates were egging me on and being like, you can't let him be chatting up your sister. Look, he's chatting up your... And I was like, oh God. I went over to him and I was like, mate, what do you think you're doing? Like, can I have a word with you, please? A moment of your time. That's my younger sister, and I don't think you should be chatting to her. Like, she's just here with her friends. And it was really, really awkward. And I was like, we should go outside. And like, that was my way of squaring up to this guy. But we found ourselves outside, and I was supposed to be fighting this guy. So like,
was there a crowd
that
around you?
kind of thing, yeah, where it was kind of like, oh, there's going to be, it was like an official kind of like, these guys are going to fight. Look, they've been working up to this. And and he really didn't want anything to do with it because he was like, I was just chatting to her. And I was like, no, we are going to do this. And I just wasn't doing anything. I was like, everyone kept going, come on, or do something. And I was just like, oh, I don't like you. Like, really leaning heavily on like the verbal aspect of it. And then it's brilliantly heard. This story's even better heard from my brother's now wife, Emma, who said my brother was standing there watching this unfold with disgust. Like, he was holding his pint, and she went, after about 5 minutes of watching me, he just handed her his pint, just went like, hold this for a second, and then he just ran and speared the guy. Just tackled him to the ground. And I was like, yes, yeah.
There's more where that came from, buddy.
Anyway, yeah. I mean, I'm pleased that I wasn't like an aggressive guy, but it's a party that wishes you were. Yeah. You could have been like...
Well, you want to be able to defend your sister's honour.
Family honour.
Or whatever, but I'm not a fighter either. It's
just a window panner.
Yeah. I'll make a nurse move away, but I won't batter anyone.
Well, listen, to get back on course here,
of course, yeah.
That this one's, I mean, it's understandable. I empathise, but I think a lot of people are probably going to feel
that I'm a shout bag.
Yeah, so I can definitely understand that.
Of course.
Was it the kind of thing where were you working there for a long time after, and people knew about it and they brought it up?
No, not really. There was someone took a video of the CCTV footage of it, and I got slagged for a wee bit, but it wasn't like a big thing. Thankfully, it should have been. It should have been a big thing.
Yeah,
but it was. No, I think most people agreed with me that, listen, let the guy steal some cheese. You know, I'm not going to stop a guy stealing cheese.
Yeah,
I get paid at the time. It was like $5.50 an hour or something.
Yeah.
That's less than the block of cheese.
Do you know something? I mean, my brother, who'd probably hate to be featured in any sort of podcast at all, he worked as a security guard at a different supermarket in Govan for a couple of years, and he always said that the worst thing about it was always just like usually poor wee folk that were stealing stuff they needed. Yeah. Like a pair of socks or like a pack of crisps, and he said he always felt awful if he ever had to stop anyone, really.
Aye. Well, see if it was a mother stealing, you know, baby formula.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, give me that back, you know. So let her take that.
The one time you come out of your shell.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm finally putting my foot down.
But I think, I mean, it was obviously, I don't think he was eating 12 blocks of cheese, so he was probably selling this stuff. But maybe he needed the money.
Maybe.
So, who am I to judge?
Right. This is a good one. I feel like we've jumped up a good bit here. The stakes have been raised. Mm-hmm. And now we move on to what's always the most vulnerable one, I would say, which is something that's happened in a relationship at any point in your life. Mm-hmm. And I feel like for some reason, even from hearing your first two stories, I already feel sorry for whatever you've done here.
Well, this one I'm definitely the victim in, I would say.
Oh, no. Stephen.
So... This isn't my wife. This is before my wife. I didn't want to tell because she's been through enough being married to me. So this was a girl that I was seeing for maybe a couple of months. And It was quite clear that I liked her more than she liked me. So I was going out my way to try and be a good guy and stuff.
Yeah.
So she asked me to pick her up from a night out one time.
Good.
So I stayed up till 3 a.m, drove into town,
What a gent.
picked her up, and I was waiting for her. It was like 1:15. She still hadn't arrived, so I thought I'll go out and look for her. Maybe she's lost. And I walked round the corner and I seen her holding hands with this other guy, and they might have went to kiss. So I just ran back to the car and pretended I didn't see it.
Oh no! So, this is such a sad theme to all these stories. You can even hear Sean, the podcast technician, just killing himself in the corner. This is so sad.
Yeah, I felt pathetic, and I just eventually after she was done, she came over.
Oh no! So you still picked it up?
I drove her home.
Oh no! I really thought you meant you left because
No.
she was going home with this.
No,
You still picked her up.
I still picked her up.
And you never even. Were you like, did you have a nice night? Or like,
Yeah, well, she was with a friend as well, so I picked them both up, dropped her friend off, and I just pretended that nothing happened. I was just like, I have a good night. A night with the girls, just the girls.
you could have been back there in the co-op. I'm just picturing you again. The wee look round the wall and then ducking away. Initially, I thought you were in the car and you spotted them and you were going to say, like, you beeped the horn or something. But
No, I walked out to the street, saw it, ran back to the car. And because if I did, a part of me did think, oh, fuck that, fuck her, I'm going to just drive away. And then I was like, but then she'll know something's up. And I didn't want to.
then
This
you'd
was my
have
way
to
of
say why you.
This was my way of like being the bigger man, because technically we weren't actually going out, we were seeing each other. So I was like, I don't really have a leg to stand on. I do kinda, because she did ask me to pick her up. But
Wait, how long did you continue to see each other for?
it ended pretty soon after that. I'd say a week or two.
A week or two. That's good.
Maybe.
I was worried you were going to be like a couple of months and like just never. Did you know the guy? Did you recognise him?
This was a rando, a complete random, and
Wow.
I think it came. I didn't bring this up, but I think we had an argument about something, and it was a lot of the emotion was probably because from that moment. Right. So it was something minor, and she was like, "You're overreacting," but really,
you knew it was because of
it was because of that sort of thing, and then we just stopped seeing
I
each
can
other.
picture that scene in a film. Then, if it like, what are you actually angry about?
The subtext, yeah,
that is so good, but so
sad.
So sad.
I've never told anyone that. That's the story I've never told.
What were I'm just picking wee bits in this story, but what were you doing that evening that you were like, I'm just going to stay in and come pick you up? Why weren't you on the night out?
Because I had to pick her up.
Oh, I see.
She was out with her friend, so
it was a different friendship.
Yeah. So she was out with her pal, and I wasn't doing anything. Maybe I had a gig and then I was not doing anything afterwards.
Yeah.
So I set an alarm I went to sleep, set an alarm for like 2:30, got up, got ready, drove out. So it's quite a commitment.
Do you know what I will say in your defence in all these stories? You really are portraying yourself as a good guy.
I don't think so.
You know when people say like nice to a fault. That's what I'm thinking of here as well.
I think for that story, yes.
Yeah.
I think the first story I'm the villain.
Yeah.
Second story, it's just pathetic, kinda.
Do any contact with that ex these days? Like,
not really. I will say, I think she tried to follow me on Instagram and I didn't follow her back. So who's laughing now?
Quite right. Quite right. Do you know, actually, as well, maybe it was like clearer than you said the first time round there, but I'm also laughing because you said you saw she was holding hands with someone and then might have been going to kiss him, so you didn't
I
actually...
didn't want to see it.
So it was definitely going to happen,
Well,
think?
they were kind of getting flirty, close and comfortable. I thought, I can see where this is going. I'll leave you to it.
Okay.
I'll drive you home in 5 minutes.
Because I thought... I just thought maybe it was not without the realms of possibility that it was like a pal or something. They were just holding hands and then that was it. But
Nah,
it was definitely.
it was a random man from a nightclub. She wasn't pals with this guy.
Well, I tell you, if I'd been there, I'd have said, "Hey, excuse me, sir. If we could I have some words, please? My brother,
My brother's going to
will be
spear
here
you."
shortly." Oh boy, these are great. I think these are my favourite stories so far. Have you any others from any other walk of life you'd care to get off your chest?
I've got. Let me read. I wrote a list.
This is when you know there's someone haunted. It's like, wait a minute, I've got a list.
I've got one that's. I don't even know if I want. It's that pathetic that I don't even know if I want to say it. And I've got one that is just a wee bit of a laugh.
All right.
I'll tell you both if we've got time.
Let's hear it.
Right, let's just rattle through them. Pathetic one was I was with my mate in the pub. He was with his girlfriend, and his girlfriend was like, "Oh, let's all go back to mine." My flatmate's there, and she's up for shagging anyone basically. She just doesn't care, and I was like, "Oh, great, yeah, okay, I'll come back." And then I got there, and that was true because she was like, "Oh, I'm away to shag someone else." So then I just had to get a taxi home myself. And I was like, "Enjoy your night. See you later, guys." 20 quid in that taxi home.
So horrendous for so many different reasons. That story, it sounds like you just described like a brothel essentially. It's an occupied sign up and sorry guys. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, what a shame.
Yeah.
Unlucky you just didn't get in there.
Just didn't. If I was there maybe half an hour earlier, it would have been
Another guy at the door waiting.
And I'm not slut shaming. Fair play to her.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I was just not in time. I just felt miserable getting a taxi home after getting the taxi there. And
Getting all excited and like,
oh, I don't know what this person looks like, but she's up for it. And then,
do you know what? The only parallel I can think of for that is, in terms of an analogy, it would be how excited we all were because we were both there going to Germany and then the opening game.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
all right, sorry.
Yeah.
Probably didn't need to come. We've just been bumped there. Wow. So that's just the really sad one? Or
That
is
was
that
quite
the kind of
sad.
laugh one?
No, the laugh one is just I was at the zoo with my now wife for one of our first dates, and we saw the anteaters, and I went, "Oh, that looks like my penis," and then we turned round, and there's an old couple standing directly behind us, and it was just very embarrassing. We walked away, but we had a giggle about it.
Did they giggle? Did they?
Nah, they looked kind of horrified.
Really? Didn't know if the old guy like slightly nodding, like, you're right, son.
You're right.
You tell. That's funny. Do you know, again, a bit of an aside, but the zoo, I feel like, it's a good move for a first or second date.
Yeah, I think so.
I've played that card, and I feel like I've spoken to a lot of people that have said, and doing this job in comedy anyway, when you're emceeing, I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, we went to the zoo." There must be something about that. It's like, I'm showing you that I like animals.
Yeah.
I'm up for doing something a bit different. Day trip.
Yeah, I think it's
almost a bit too formulaic.
maybe.
Even.
It wasn't a first date. I would say maybe fourth or fifth. And I wasn't just saying this. She knew what my penis looked like, so it wasn't like. So it wasn't seedy. I wasn't like, look at that.
So it was like an accurate.
Yeah, representation.
It was like seeing a doppelganger.
Yeah, exactly. And she laughed because it was a laughter of recognition, and then this older couple heard it.
Anteater.
And yeah.
Well, if anyone is curious to know what Stephen Buchanan's penis looks like, I guess you can now just Google Anteaters Edinburgh Zoo.
Go to Edinburgh Zoo, yeah, right there.
Don't feed them. Don't feed it. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing these
No problem.
amazing moments in your life. I hope you feel somewhat lighter
I do, actually.
for having shared them as well. And do you know, I don't know why I'm continuing with this ruse, but we've got a bin over here. Actually, maybe I should try and get maybe Sean. Do you want to put, I don't know why am I, this is we're trying to be like a bit highbrow by getting you to symbolically throw these dead flowers
okay.
in a bin at the end of each episode.
Yeah, I love it.
For the off chance that eventually we edit together some sort of montage. I should say as well, this is the first time we actually have proper dead flowers.
They're lovely.
Quite often I've just been trying to find a dead one in the car park when we pull up. But because we're selling the house, we'd bought flowers to like make the house look like it's the kind of thing we do all the time.
Yeah.
And now they're all dying.
Right.
So
and now you can.
I've brought these ones.
use
And
them.
the sad thing about actually having dead flowers, an actual bouquet, was walking to the car and walking here with them. It made it look like I was such a shit husband. But yeah, I think let's do this. Which story would you want to discard the most out of the ones you've shared, and then you can just grab all these and chuck it in there symbolically?
I'd say the seeing the girl holding hands with the boy
Yeah.
and not saying anything about it.
Well, there you go.
I think that's got to be it.
Well,
See you later.
brilliant.
You idiots.
Stephen Buchanan, it's been wonderful to have you on as a guest.
Thank
Do you
you.
know what? Because of the kind of haphazard start with what happened to me at the weekend, we didn't even fully get to give you a proper intro about what a wonderful comic,
thank
actor,
you.
writer, podcast host you are yourself. And so, have you got anything coming up that we can give a wee plug and tell people about?
Doing the Fringe,
Nice.
of course. I'm doing every day at the Monkey Barrel Comedy Monkey Barrel Comedy Club at 4:20. Come along.
Great.
Come along.
Thanks again, and thanks to everyone for listening, and for the few that may choose to watch, whoever you are. Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Stop Watering Dead Flowers podcast with me, your host Chris Forbes, in association with the wonderful Stan Comedy Club. Sound mixing and recording by the wonderful Sean Stables. Big shout out, Sean. Woo! Edited by the ever awesome Chris Thorburn. Thank you very much to everyone who's listened. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, share with a friend, all the things that you're supposed to do with podcasts. Thank you.